Pinky, I want to direct this one to you as someone who sits on the Boardwalk Committee, has a long history with the Atlantic City Boardwalk, has been a big advocate for it for a long time. What makes Atlantic City's Boardwalk so special?
It's so special. Number one, why did they have a boardwalk? And for many of you, I'm sure you've heard the story. There are a couple of gentlemen that used to be train conductors. They opened up a hotel. And the people who came to Atlantic City, all these people you've heard who come to Atlantic City, would walk on the beach during the evening and during the afternoon hours. And they got tired of them bringing in sand with their shoes. It would be in the rooms. It would be all over the place. So they decided, let's put some boards out front. So they put the boards out, and at night, they would take the boards back in because the waves would come up and wash them away. Then somebody said, ooh, let's raise it. The water will go underneath. And that's what happened. Then this is the fourth boardwalk we've had. Others have washed away. There have been troubles with it over the years. This is, and Boo mentioned the fact there were a lot of dunes here when they discovered this island, but when the boardwalk was built, there had been no dunes put out there, and we're struggling right now and fighting the state of New Jersey, and hopefully we're going to win, to remove the dunes, or at least to bring them down so we can see. But the boardwalk was our play place. What did you do with your kids? My parents would give me a nickel or dime and say, go to the boardwalk. We spent our time on the boardwalk because there was so much to see, so much to do. How many of you remember the racetrack on top of the $1 Million Pier that was built by Seagrams, and you saw the horses race around, and we would bet amongst ourselves a penny to determine which horse would come in first. You could never figure it out. There were so many things. You had the DuPont Museum, you had the Steel Pier, you had the piers that came off the boardwalk. And you talk about entertainment, there was more entertainment in the '40 era than there is in Atlantic City today. When you take the piers, with all the piers that we have, and you cannot forget them, because they were the entertainment palaces. Look at what the Steel Pier did. It was the first one in the world that had one admission for so many different events. How could you beat it with 3 movie houses, with a stage show, with a circus at the end of the pier, with the Tony Grant shows of tomorrow, and all of these different things that were on this pier that you paid 50 cents to get in. Your mother would give you a bag with a sandwich. You'd go up to the deck, and they had a deck where you would put your sandwiches down, and after a couple of hours, you could smell, this guy's a Jew, oh, he's got salami. Oh, this one over here, he's Italian, he's got sausages. This one over here, he's black, he's got ribs. I mean, chicken, ribs. I mean, it was amazing. But the most amazing thing is, not one of those bags was ever missing. They might have been missing a leg of chicken, but none of the bags were ever stolen. So that was just the way it was. You were not allowed to have food. You could not buy food on the Steel Pier. So we would give the usher that was there at the end of the pier, at the beginning of the pier, we'd give him a quarter to go across and buy us some peanuts from Planters Peanuts across the way. But the boardwalk was it. The movie houses, first-run movies. The Apollo theaters they talked about with entertainment, that Apollo theater saw the Ziegfeld Follies. They came here to Atlantic City before they went on to Broadway in New York. Al Jolson came in with them and all the wonderful people that there were. But the boardwalk was marvelous. It was clean. People walked on it, and you've seen the pictures, I'm sure, back in the 30s and 40s. Hundreds of thousands of people dressed to the fine. I mean, the gentlemen wore the hats, the ladies, they looked magnificent. Evening gowns and tuxedos they did on Saturday nights. It was just marvelous. And what's happened to the dress? Well, what's happened to us as dress? Look at yourselves. You would normally, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you would come to an event like this and we all be dressed in jackets and ties. and ladies dressed in the fineries. Today, it is a comfort crowd. That is the big difference that we have. But we still have that boardwalk. We have put all new facades on the buildings that are not owned by casinos. CRDA came up with the money after the Boardwalk Committee beseeched them to do it. We have all new facades in those buildings. Come up and take a look at them at night. We have the fountain which was put in honor of Thomas Edison, the discoverer of electricity. When there was 1929, when the city was 75 years old, they turned this around and said, we've got to do something for him. They built this beautiful fountain in the middle of the park in front of the Claridge Hotel. In that park, which will remain a park into perpetuity, but the reason is that it was given to the city for that purpose only, to be a park. Look at that, it fell apart. And as of the Boardwalk Committee, and I goaded them into it, we got $1 million out of the CRDA. We had that all rebuilt. Take a look at it today and you'll see how beautiful that park is.